learners, greetings of the day. I am your trainer Abhishek Ray. Today, we are going to learn about a very critical topic in the gamut of supply chain management, and that is the lean principle and the just in time inventory management. It is often in short called as JIT. The learning objectives are an introduction to the lean philosophy and the lean mindset. Next is you will be learning about the five lean principles. Then we move forward to the eight wastes that are very critical in supply chain management, which eventually results in customer dissatisfaction. Next, we will look upon just in time fundamentals and basics. Finally, we will close this session by looking into a very important concept, and that is VSM, also known as value stream mapping. See, lean is a systematic approach to identify and eliminate non value added activities in any operations or probably in any kind of a manufacturing or services. So basically what lean does is identifies and eliminates the waste in all business processes to increase number one the quality, number two the speed, and finally to achieve customer satisfaction. Why customer satisfaction? Because that is the final goal of any company, which will help its sales to increase and its revenue to increase. The concept is the concept of lean is a management philosophy that originated with the Toyota production system in Japan, and it was somewhere near the post World War era. This is also in short often referred to as TPS, the Toyota production system. We'll come to know about that in the consecutive slides. Lean is also often summarized not as a cost cutting measure. It is not only intended to cut the cost. You need to keep that in mind. But it is a discipline focused on creating maximum customer value while consuming minimum amount of resources. Why customer value? Because as we learned, only customer value will achieve higher level of customer satisfaction. And also, as I said, using the minimum amount of resources. So cost cutting, may someone may think that if we are talking about eliminating or reducing the process, then it is somewhere to do with cost cutting. But please be reminded and very clear, cost cutting is maybe a byproduct of what you do with the lean process, but cost cutting is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to reduce waste, is to optimize using of resources while you achieve the customer satisfaction. If a very relevant example that we take, which has happened in the past 3-4 years in Amazon facilities in the United States, where the handling of their boxes or various products have been now given are being done more by robots. Now, it is not intended with the intention to remove human intervention over there. It is basically the robots have been bought in so that the efficiency increases, time delay decreases, and the amount of human error is also eliminated. Thereby, what Amazon is doing is making faster deliveries, making accurate deliveries, and that is how it is actually continuously increasing its customers' satisfaction. Lean applies, this principle of lean applies across industries. And as I've always told you, when we are talking about supply chain management, it does not only it is not restricted to manufacturing, or it is not restricted to only product oriented business. It is always into the service sector also. So lean applies across industries. You can lean principles have definitely been applied in manufacturing. They have been successfully applied in retail, services. Most of the biggest of the banking financial services, if you see and if you go through their supply chain and their back office and operations, you will see a huge impression of the lean principle working over there. Lean principle has been applied in hospitals, definitely, because time is of essence over there, logistics, supply chain, and so many. The advantages of lean principle, number one is reduction of inventory. By now you must have understood through my lectures is that inventory, if beyond a certain level, is not your asset, it's a liability. It has multiple associated costs. It has cost related to the space cost, the holding cost, the um, uh, the the maintenance cost. So reduced inventory increases your profitability, and that is one of the primary advantage that lean principles provide. The next is increase in quality. Lean principles help you minutely manage your process, minutely see what is the process and how the quality is being derived. Lean helps in identifying certain changes which are required and which, when done, will increase the quality of the output product. Again, what will happen? The end result, if a good quality product, if is provided to the customer value increases. Customer value increases, it is directly proportional to the increase of customer satisfaction, which is directly proportional to the increase of sales and revenue. The next benefit that lean principle gives is higher productivity. The moment you identify idle times, the moment you identify non value added work in the entire workflow and you eliminate them, your entire productivity increases. And if your productivity increases, two things happens. First, your time reduces, and your cycle time of producing the final product reduces heavily, which again affects directly to customer satisfaction. Last advantage, of course not the least, but out of the primary advantages that we are talking about, the last one is faster processing. When the entire process is mapped, when the productivity is increased, when you have eliminated all the non-value added times, of course the entire processing, right from ordering of inventory, right from storing the optimum inventory, right from cutting the non-value added parts in the manufacturing, and then right from faster processing, faster packaging of the products, finding out the optimum way of shipping to the customer, the entire result is actually faster processing. Lean principle is, of course, a modern principle, and traditionally, when this principle was not there. So let us have a quick comparison between how manufacturing or supply chain used to happen prior to lean, which over here we are going to refer as traditional. So lean versus traditional, when we talk, typically the traditional supply chain management was push based. That means push the material, push the product into the market, push the inventory so that the more you are completing in the factory and the end product is achieved. Traditional methods dependent on high level of inventory. So automatically by now you can understand, if any methodology which is using high level of inventory is not a very efficient way of doing business. You are actually increasing the cost, and it would be very logical for me to tell you students at this point of time that any company will not incur any cost on it. In the end, any cost that is incurred for your manufacturing, for your inventory, for your shipment, for your logistics, everything will be indirectly or directly passed to the final customer. That means your prices increase. That means it is not a very satisfactory situation for your customer. But typically, the traditional methods, when the lean principle was not introduced, they used to rely on this of keeping high inventory and a push based system. On the contrary, lean is a pull based system. Lean relies on having the minimum amount of inventory. Rather, I would not say minimum, but the optimum amount of inventory, which is so that your work should not stop if because of inavailability of inventory, but your inventory should not be of that level which is not exactly required at this point of time for manufacturing, which is thereby leading in increasing cost. Lean also believes in a continuous flow of process. The process should not stop. So it is pull based, minimum inventory, and it is a continuous flowing process. I'll give you a very, very simple example to understand the traditional way of manufacturing, and I'll take an example of a clothing company who have forecasted for 500 coats. Now, typically the coats are going to be required only during the cold season. That is, I'm assuming that the winters would somewhere come from November to December and January. So they have already forecasted a 500 coats requirement for November, December in the month of June. Now, since the forecasting has happened, here the push starts. Immediately they will start manufacturing during the period of July, August, September. They will start manufacturing the 500 number of coats. Once the manufacturing is done, of course, there is no point in keeping those coats in your own hub. So now, by the month of October, distribution starts. So it's safe to say by end of October, the retails are already pushed with around 500 coats that they need to sell in the month of November, December and January. Now, the situation in October end is there is 500 coats already lying in the market of a forecast that was done almost 4-5 months back. So, from cost point of view, the cost of getting the inventory, of course, there are a lot of raw materials that might have been required to manufacture these 500 coats. That inventory had been procured somewhere around July. Then July to September, there was the manufacturing cost, which would be the labor cost, the factory cost and everything that has been already done, the shipping and distribution cost. So all the cost by the manufacturer has already been paid without any certainty of the sales happening with the exact exact accuracy of their forecasting team, and that is where uncertainty happens. Many things can happen. First of all, this is a fashion industry, this is an apparel industry. By the time you reach November or December, who knows, the trend might have changed and your 500 coats are no more seen as a trendy fashion. What will you do then? Customers probably it's not, mostly will not buy. Now you will have to reduce your prices for those 500 units that you have already, the cost has already been borne. Now you reduce the cost to again push the sales, which is decreasing your profitability. That is uncertainty. Who knows, weathers are changing. This time it seems that the winter has not come as desired. The temperatures didn't go so down, people didn't go for any additional coats. That is one uncertainty. So that is what I hope you understood with this simple example of manufacturing 500 coats and pushing it into the market. This is the traditional method. Lean, on the other hand, if you understand, lean is not just a method. It's basically a mindset. The more we venture into this topic, you will slowly realize that it's all about human attributes. It's all about how you see things happening and how you behave in the best of your manner so that your production and customer value increases. Lean, if we now go back to the history, which is very important and interesting also, it originated, as I said, with the car manufacturing giant, which in today's world that is Toyota, after the World War II. You remember after World War II, there were very limited resources. You know, the war had already bled the country, especially Japan. If you remember, if you have gone through the history post that nuclear bombings, they were absolutely, they had lost resources, they had lost people, they had lost their willpower, and of course their economy was in shambles. And at that point of time, to revive their economy with the limited resources, they had to build more car. That was the requirement. They wanted to build more car whose manufacturing cost is less, and of course a manufacturing that requires less space, a manufacturing process that require fewer workers. See, I said it all. If you are doing any manufacturing with fewer workers, definitely you are reducing your manufacturing cost. If you are doing it in a less space, say, I'll tell you an example. If you today own a manufacturing facility of 10,000 square feet on a rental basis, and you manufacture 10,000 cars annually, and suddenly next year, with the lean practice, with this TPM method, you actually shift to a 5,000 square feet space and start manufacturing 12,000 cars. Which one is efficient? Which one is profitable? Of course, less space. And of course, they also wanted to do the manufacturing with less money. Less money in the sense, they might look into their procurement process, they might look into the shipments, can shipment process, because shipping is a big part of the cost that you incur, and especially when you are talking about heavy equipments like car. Lean focuses on eliminating anything that does not add value from the customer's point of view. Underline this, what I'm saying. We will talk about this more. Not add value from the customer's point of view. Today, hospitals, IT companies, logistic firms, and even restaurants use lean to make their operations smoother, faster, and more efficient. Many supply chain students I know personally in India who are pursuing their management studies in supply chain often prefer to do their internship in pizza companies like the Domino's, like the Burger Kings, or like the Pizza Huts, because if you have given a very closer look at their open kitchens, you'll see all the things clearly kept. The chickens will be kept at one place, the buns will be kept in one place, there will be a mechanism for where the oil is already boiling, so they'll fry it immediately. You'll also not see too much of a huddle of people inside, in that hot environment. So that clearly says they adopt the lean method. And yes, restaurants in today's world, to give a satisfaction to a customer, not only a yummy food, not only a nice ambience, but also prompt delivery. Remember any of your experience where you were very hungry and you have reached to a restaurant, you know the food is good, but then they took hours to take your order, they took hours to deliver. By the time you eat your food, you are already dissatisfied mentally. So that is why lean becomes very important. Even if we talk about hospitals, in today's world, hospitals are very complex place to work. Why? They are dealing with human lives. Every second, every minute, every needle, every medicine, every ounce of oxygen is important. And that is why hospitals, IT companies, logistic firms, they are all applying the lean philosophy, the lean mindset. Now let's now deep dive into the lean philosophy and mindset. Lean mindset means do only what is useful, do it in the simplest way, and keep improving it every day. Let's go back to the example of uh, the the pizza company that I was talking about. Okay, if you're giving a chicken burger, it's very important that you have your chicken patties ready somewhere, because there is a line of customers who want those burgers. Would it be wise to keep potato patties if you are not serving non-vegetarian over there? Would it be wise to do that? No. Then you will have to remove that. That is not useful. And lean mindset focuses on continuous improvement. Lean mindset does not say that you do something right now and after that you stop it. Only one correction or an improvement in a year or a month. No, the whole mindset is continuous. If you have done some improvement today, it is the lean mindset that says that you need to check even tomorrow. Who knows, you might some more improvement opportunities, and that is actually what happens. Lean is not about working harder, it is about working smarter. Working harder happens when you have excessive manpower doing one job. So there is a lot of hard work going on. But if you find a smarter way to do that same work with a fewer manpower, that is being lean. The lean philosophy and mindset has quite a few points, or rather indicators, I would say. The number one which stands out in the lean philosophy is Kaizen. I hope you have heard about it. Kaizen is a continuous improvement process. In a simple meaning, it says small improvements every day. I have been fortunate enough to work in to have my working in the past in a few companies where I have actually seen how Kaizen is very, very important. Small teams are given Kaizen projects. They are continuously followed up and monitored to provide Kaizen changes to the organization. Kaizen does not focus on big changes. As I said, big changes in one year doesn't matter. That is not the Kaizen way. That is not the lean philosophy. That is not the lean mindset. The Kaizen says continuous improvement. Every day there should be something new. Let's take a very simple daily life example to understand Kaizen. You rearrange your kitchen so cooking becomes easier. Next week, you move things again to save more time. This time, understand, you didn't rebuild the kitchen, you just again rearranged it to save more time. You just improved it slowly. And kitchen is, by the way, very nice example, because there is a lot of movement every day that happens. If probably you are an ardent coffee person who needs the coffee in the morning, every day probably you'll bring out that coffee holding container, then there will be water boiling and all the process, and in that process you are spending some time. So you need to identify and reorganize, not rebuild, reorganize your kitchen in such a way that this regular thing of yours is placed very near and at hand distance, so that there is no time spent in terms of searching that particular thing. Kaizen means we don't wait for a big problem. Every day we ask, can I do this job slightly better than yesterday? That is exactly the kind of Kaizen mindset you have. So you understand, if you work with that philosophy, if you work or a supply chain team works with that philosophy, there is small improvement that is happening every day. Number two principle in the mindset is respect for people. When I started, when I was talking about the Toyota productive TPM, Toyota productive management way, I told that it is a kind of a attribute, it is a kind of a attitude that you have, and this is what I meant. Respect for people. People doing the work know it best. So instead of only managers deciding everything, workers give suggestions. They stop the process if something is wrong and help improve the process. I, just try to understand. A manager might be highly educated, but a manager's core job is to manage, while the workers are the one who are day in and day out doing the actual hands-on thing. And that is where they clearly understand what are the positives and what are the negatives in this particular process. Now if we go by a typical hierarchy, which I clearly I can say very confidently that in the traditional way of working things, a worker would not dare to talk in front of the manager. There would be a very strong, hierarchy level. You are a worker, you are a blue collar person, you come in, you do the job, and you get out. It's the manager's job to say what to do and what not to do. But that is, in fact, exactly opposite of respecting people. That is not respecting the work that they are doing. That is clearly going by hierarchy and thereby losing so many valuable improvements that could have been done. While in lean philosophy, every person in every cadre, in every rank, is given the equal amount of respect, and especially based on the work and the specialization that they do. If uh, for a much more better understanding, one example if I have to give is, if a driver sees a problem in the vehicle, who understands it better? Will the person sitting behind the car who doesn't drive, will he understand? Or the driver who has been driving the car day in and day out, they're the first one. Now if he is not respected, if he is not given the freedom to talk in front of his boss or in front of his employer, whoever, then he will probably just keep on driving until the small breakdown actually leads to a massive breakdown, leads to a massive cost to the employer. The driver is not going to pay for the car. That is how important is respecting of people. See, lean respects employees by involving them in improvement instead of treating them like machine. As I just gave you the example, if you, in the traditional way, a worker was supposed to come into the factory and do his work, not talk much, take your break, come back, do your work, complete your shift and go away. That is almost like machine. That is, there is no mind involvement is being done. While in the companies that I was talking about, almost all level of workers or managers or senior managers were always part of individual Kaizen teams. Managers would be a good part of a Kaizen team who can do certain improvements in the office flow of work, while workers can be good in the actual manufacturing facility. Your laborers who actually take your materials in your warehouse can be a good person to be involved for the continuous improvement in your storage facility, because see, they are the experts, they are the ones who are doing the job. Now let's move to the third part. The third part is lean aims to stabilize process. Means work should happen same way, in the same quality and with the same time. It's like if I manufacture a coat, the second coat, the third coat, the 500 coat, the 1000 coat should be of the same quality. It should be produced with the same time. That is what is called as stabilizing of process. If in this apparel manufacturing company they are producing 500 coats and every coat is taking different time for its manufacturing, how will you estimate what is the total time I will require to manufacture them? If you cannot estimate the manufacturing time, how will you commit to your customer that okay, by this time or this month or this day I will supply you with 500 coats? If the coats are not coming out of as in same quality, how will the customer perceive your product? They will perceive it in a bad manner, and that will not go for sales. So stabilizing process also, focuses on reducing of chaos, because all these things that I said, if they are not produced in the same way, if they are not produced of the same quality, if they are not coming in the same time every day, of course there is chaos. And that is was stabilizing of process intends to, it intends to eliminate chaos absolutely. Stabilizing process also intends to eliminate any kind of whatsoever surprises in the manufacturing process. If again, if there is, if the way is different, if the time is different, time itself if not is same will bring so many surprises in the manufacturing process. If today a task takes 10 minutes and tomorrow 30 minutes, that's unstable. That has got a multi-level effect on the entire product life cycle right up to the delivery of the customer. Lean focuses on predictability. Lean doesn't want you to be surprised. So the lean method makes systems predictable and the processes stable. Lean first brings stability. Only after stability, improvement becomes possible. And then what we were talking about, that the philosophy is of continuous improvement, small improvement every day, continuously. Next is flow, pull, and perfection. Flow means work should move smoothly without stopping. It's an example is of a traffic moving smoothly, no honking, no traffic jams, smooth, good flow of cars, people reaching their destinations on time, and that is what is called as a flow, smooth flow. Rather, a traffic jam is actually a poor flow where lean has not been adopted. Lean removes the traffic jams in work processes. Pull means the work should start only when there is a demand. Go back to the example of the 500 quotes forecasted in the month of June for a sale that was estimated or forecasted to happen in the month of November, December, and January. And we discussed how much of a uncertainty it came with. And that is exactly what pull tells you. Pull tells you that your manufacturing and your process should be so much lean that it should only start when there is a demand. So it should be so quick that the demand comes, you do the job and you send it to the market and you reduce cost and do the sale. Also, example is like cooking food only once when someone orders. That means pull cooking is like 100 meals you cook hoping someone will come. The result, if someone doesn't come, it's a waste. It's a waste of raw material, it's a waste of your inventory, it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of your energy, it's a waste of your money. Push believes that only do the cooking when the customers are sitting, which is essentially what happens in all the restaurants or the successful pizza and burger companies. If you see, they have they will only start making your burger once you have placed the order by paying the money. The money has been paid, the order has been punched into the system. Their system will automatically inform the inside team what sort of a burger has been ordered, in what quantity. They automatically will, the workflow will happen in such a way that the person will go to the exact point where the bun and the patties and the veggies and everything is kept right in front of them. They will just wrap it up, put it in the exact defined method and quantity and give it and serve it to a happy customer. That's why whenever you visit to a McDonald's or Burger King or whichever is your favorite burger restaurant, most of the time you'll see that your burger tastes always the same. Even the temperature of the burger would be almost the same because it's all streamlined. There are no surprises. Everything has been standardized. And next is perfection. Perfection means we keep improving forever. So if my burger cooking process is standardized, it's doing fine, it is being done in a standard time and my customers are happy, that does not mean I stop my improvement, because there is still a scope of improvement. And that is what perfection means. Lean accepts that we may not be perfect today, but tomorrow we can be better. And that is where it becomes very, very important to continuously monitor the process that is taking place. See, I can tell you one thing very surely: nothing in this world happens with perfection. Why? Because at that point of time, there can be some human error or something that was not identified by the human being or the manufacturing team or the supply chain management team. But if they have that continuous monitoring, they will always identify those loops and they will plug in. That is why they will improve. Next, things don't happen, improvement is required because the world is also changing very fast. It's not like today we drive a car that was very well accepted 30 years back or 15 years back. Car manufacturers have to continuously come up with the customer expectations, have to come up with the where the market is moving in terms of innovations, and that is where continuous improvement also comes in. New product comes in, new process comes in, there is a continuous improvement opportunity lying there. The fifth is the value versus non-value added activities. Simple definition is, value added is what the customer is willing to pay. Non-value added is the customer doesn't care, but it still happens. And that is what is non-value added. I'll start by explaining again. I don't know why I'm going too much in the kitchen, but that's how today's session is flowing. So let me take you. I'll take an example of making tea, right? So a flavor in the tea is something of value addition, right? So if a guest is there and you want them to serve the best tea so that they get the best flavor, that is a value addition. But while your guest waits, and if you are searching for your kettle, that is non-value added. Your guest is sitting idle, they have come to meet you, they have come to chit chat with you, and here you are in your kitchen finding the kettle. That is non-value added. And that is why when I was talking about the coffee example, this is exactly probably what I meant, is that certain things even in our kitchen which happen every day, the process should be made in such a way that they are there at the right place in the right reach, to avoid finding times, to avoid delay in terms of procuring this from some other room or something else. Lean principle reduces searching. Lean principles reduces the waiting time. Lean principle makes the process moving. That is what lean principle is all about. The last point in the lean philosophy and mindset point is the lean house model. It's kind of, you need to compare with a building, right? Imagine a lean house. In this house, the roof is the customer value. The most important thing is the customer value in this house. Good quality, low cost, on time delivery. All these things are what adds to the customer value. A customer will not be happy but by paying less and getting something of a bad quality. A customer will not be happy by getting a good quality product, but which he or she was expecting to get it in 2 days, he or she is getting that after 25 days. So all the three things, quality, low cost and on time delivery, is what adds to the customer value. Now this lean house has two pillars holding the roof. The roof, remember, is the customer value. The pillar one is just in time, that is JIT. It means make only what is needed when it is needed, and only make the quantity that is required. You got it? And this is exactly what resonates with the word lean. Not crowding, not crowding by making too much of things, not crowding by making too much of keeping too much of inventory, not crowding the warehouse by already pre-making the products and waiting for the customer to order. Rather, exactly the opposite of all those things. It's like an if you take an example, again going back to kitchen, it's like buying vegetables daily instead of storing vegetables for 1 month. Someone may say that I will go once a month to my vegetable shops, I'll get everything that I want and bring it and dump it and store it in my fridge. First of all, by storing in fridge, eventually after a few days, as the days pass by, the vegetables start losing their minerals and the values that they bring in. They start losing the taste that fresh vegetables have. And even in keeping fridges, there is highest possibility that at least 10 to 15% of your vegetable will get in a situation that you cannot cook them anymore. They will not be of good quality. That is why most of the households prefer to buy their vegetables on a daily basis. If not daily basis, at least in 2 to 3 days they'll try to get the vegetables for their kitchen. That is the pillar number 1 holding the roof, which is the customer value. The next pillar is the Japanese word, and that is jidoka. It is basically automation with a human touch. Means machines must detect mistakes and stop automatically while alerting the humans. A very, very, very classic example that comes to my mind is a washing machine. Washing machine will stop if the lid is opened. Another example, you might have heard that a little bit of irritating noise personally for me is when the printer suddenly stops when a paper jams. These all prevent defects from moving forward. This all processes automatically by a sound or by action from the machine informs the human that there is a requirement for intervention. So these were the two pillars. Pillar 1 was JIT, pillar 2 was Jidoka. Both the pillars imagine holding the roof of the house, and that is the customer value. Foundation of the house is, with these two pillars holding, the foundation of the house is stable process. This house is giving you standard work, trained people with discipline. Without a solid foundation, houses collapse. And without a solid foundation of your supply chain management, your entire customer satisfaction, your entire product cycle, your entire business will collapse. Lean is a way of thinking where we remove waste. This is exactly what I have been telling from the start of today's lecture. It is always about removing the waste. It is always about identifying the waste. And it is also about improving work every day, consistently, little bit, but every day. Kaizen means small daily improvements. Lean also respects people by listening to those who do the work. That is also we understood. It focuses on stable processes, no surprises. So there are no surprises. Lean works on flow, meaning the work should move smoothly like a smooth traffic that we had imagined. And pull, meaning work only when there is demand. That is, do not overcrowd before the demand is there. Finally, lean can be imagined as a house. The roof is a customer satisfaction, and the customer satisfaction is being held by the two pillars who are just in time, which avoids excess inventory, and Jidoka, where the machines stop automatically when a problem happens. This prevents defects and improves the quality. This prevents waste of materials and also prevents defect material reaching to the customer. Now we come to the next important topic, and that is the 5 lean principles. But before we start, one simple idea that I will discuss it with you, or a very basic question that you need to ask, and that will mostly sum up the entire structure that we are going to study. And that is this activity helping the customer? If the answer is no, then it is wasting your time, it is wasting your money, and it is wasting your effort. A very, very simple and a very powerful question. Any process that you are seeing, any process that you are witnessing, first understand the process and then just ask this simple question: is my customer getting benefited with this? If the answer is no, it needs to be removed, right? If so lean tries to reduce or remove these non-value addition processes from the entire system. The 5 lean principles are like the 5 steps to answer this particular question correctly. So again, once you see a process and this question comes into your mind, the 5 lean principles will help you to get to the answer, whether the answer is yes or no. So let's start with the lean principles. Number 1 is specify the value. Here, customer defines the value. What does value mean? Value means something that the customer is willing to pay for. For example, a very, very successful example, more than a decade back now, mobile phone industry witnessed a huge change. And that is, mobile phones started coming with cameras. Yes, the charges were higher, but the customer chose to pay for it. Why? Because a customer found value in it. The phone was in any case a very important, mobile phone was in any case very important. The good thing that happened when we shifted from the wired telephones to wireless mobile phones, the best thing happened is your communication was traveling in your pocket with you wherever you are going. Humans are also had been always very passionate about clicking photographs. So now this small portable telephonic device gave you the option to also click your photographs on the move, and that is the value that customer saw, and that is why customer was willing to pay. And now look where we are. Our phones sometimes have even better cameras than a normal regular camera. If the customer does not care about an activity, it is a non-value added. Say, I'll just give you an example. You have manufactured additional phones, and those phones are lying you in your warehouse, which is a cost. Customer doesn't care about this. It has got no importance, no relevance to the customer's mind. Here, in this particular topic, the most important point to notice is value is not decided by the manager. It is not decided by the company. It is not decided by the factory. Value is decided by the customer. A simple example, if I give you, is, I'm not getting one, but I'll just tell you one simple thing. Say, because we were talking about phone, now customers saw the value of a camera in a phone, and that is where it has now become a regular part of our life. Now, if I say that I also give a attached pocket in a phone where the customer can keep his or her credit card, probably the customer will not see a value. It may depend, but as of now, from me, consider me as a customer, I don't see a value in that, because I will not let my credit card be fronted in the phone's back pocket. I sometimes tend to keep my phone at a place where I don't want my credit card to be exposed, to be handpicked by someone else. So that means, as a customer, for me, it doesn't add any value. The company may market it, the company may say, we have spent so much of money in doing this so that you have a ease, and we want to replace your wallet, and just your phone is something, you have everything. I don't see the value. And that is how customer makes or decides the value. It doesn't matter in this case what the company likes. It's like you order a mobile phone. Again, going back to the mobile phone example now, and now I'm hooked with mobile phones only. You order a mobile phone, a good camera is a value. The customer values if the phone has a long battery life. The customer definitely values if the phone is delivered in 24 hours or 48 hours or maybe less than that, faster delivery. Why not a same day delivery? These are value. But extra packaging inside does not value to the customer. A very nice phone, but with a high waiting time, it is not a value to the customer. Value is what customer wants. Value is not what the company wants, prefers, or likes. Why this principle is important is, many companies do work and they think, do some work and they think that this is important, but customers don't care. Lean, on the other side, starts by clearly answering first to this question: who is my customer? It is basically knowing who is my target audience. Whom am I planning to cater to? The next question is, what exactly does the customer want? So now you have the lean has identified who is my customer. And after identifying, it becomes very important and very pretty much easy to understand what exactly the customer wants. And once you have identified, you understand that that is the value for which customer is ready to pay for. This is how lean principle works. Next principle is map the value stream. Visualize every step. So what is a value stream? The value stream includes all steps needed to deliver a product or a service, from raw materials to finished product to the customer. This includes product movement, information flow, waiting time, inspection, storage. Just for an example, a banking platform has given its customer an online platform from where they can do their banking services. So right from logging into that banking page, getting the look and the feel of that banking page, seeing what the bank is offering new to its customers, to the next step wherein you put your customer ID and your password and you click the button and you log into your own personal web page where you see what is the status of your account, how much money you are holding, what is the incoming. You can get your statements at a click of a button. You can make fixed deposits at a click of a button. You can liquidate your fixed deposits at a click of a button. You can change your e-pins, i-pins at a click of a button. This is all supply chain. This is all basically happening online, but this is where the process has been mapped. And this entire process, when a banking supply chain team sees on their picture, that is value stream. That is where when they look, they continuously can identify which are those points which we can improve, which are the experiences which are not adding any value to my customer, then we need to eliminate it. Which are those uh, processes which are taking a little bit too much of a time, which are regular processes, then they will try to improve the entire software or the web page by reducing that time period, thereby increasing the customer value, customer experience, and thereby getting a customer satisfaction. Why do we map it? To see the reality, not assumptions. You know, it's anything. If I cannot, I may have many You may say that I have a lean principle, I have a lean mindset, I am doing the things as per the lean mindset and the lean philosophy. But if I don't have a visualization or mapping of my work, what good is my mindset? It does not work on assumptions. Say, let's take an example. Actual work takes 5 minutes, but for that product, the waiting time is 5 days. If you map it, you will immediately see what is and where is the time being wasted. A product which is being manufactured in 5 minutes, it is taking 5 days to reach the client. Definitely there is a gap. Too high a lead time for a product that takes so less time to be manufactured. Example, again, making a cup of tea. Boil water, add tea leaves, add milk, add sugar, serve. But value stream mapping may show that searching for the kettle, waiting for the gas, cleaning old utensils, these are the unnecessary steps which are adding to the time of making a cup of tea. That is how, in a simple example, we understand why mapping is important. You will understand it much better towards the end of this lecture when we talk about value stream mapping. I'll be coming there very soon. So in simple words, you can't improve what you can't see, right? You need to see what is happening, and then only you will realize what is wrong and where the scope of improvement lies. Mapping essentially helps us see that. Value added steps and non value added steps are identified only after mapping. The third principle is create flow, eliminate blockages. Now, what is flow? Flow we have already discussed, so we'll discuss it again for a better understanding. Flow means work moves smoothly from one step to the another until the entire product is made. Waiting stops and reworks and delays are that that will impact your workflow. Example of traffic: a smooth traffic, the traffic flow will be continuous. A traffic jam will be because of a lot of confusion, and there will be absolutely no flow or else slow flow, which will increase the time. What causes this poor flow? Typically, the reasons are large batch production, where you are manufacturing in a large batch. You need a large inventory, you need a large amount of manpower. That is where the flow starts happening poorly. Machine breakdowns: if a very important machine that is actually giving your is creating some kind of a product and it breaks down, then that will cause a poor flow. From a banking perspective, if your server goes down, the customer experience will deter, because they might need to do some urgent transaction when your server is down. A poor layout of a manufacturing, clumsy layout, people are just banging on each other, walking on all directions, materials lying here and there, that's a poor layout. Unclear instructions, not clear instructions, what to do, when to do, how to do, on what quantity to do. The instruction is not clear, then it will create chaos, it will create confusion, it will automatically lead to a high increase in lead time. Too much inspection, lack of trust on your workers, or lack of a structured process to automatically inspect the so that not I mean defected materials are not produced. Instead, you are randomly continuously coming and inspecting, so thereby you are actually causing the either the workflow to stop or to get it slow. Simple factory example: if we take, parts are made in bulk and stored before the next step. Inventory is building up, waiting is increasing, problems are hidden because so much of thing is lying, you don't even know where what problem is lying, and that is how the problems and the lead times increase. Whereas on the contrary, a lean would prefer to manufacture in small batches, and lean would prefer a continuous flow of manufacturing cycle. In simple words, flow means work should move, not wait. The fourth principle is establish pull. Produce only when demand exists. This is where we compare the push versus pull, which we have discussed in brief. Push system says produce first, hope that someone buys, and this in the end leads to excess in inventory and of course a lot of uncertainty. The classic example of 500 quotes forecasted in the month of June for the sale, expected sale to happen in the month of December. While the pull system says customer places the order, immediately then the production starts, and in this particular case inventory stays low. So lean follows the pull methodology and stays far away from the push methodology, which was a typical and the ideal thing that was adopted by the traditional way of working. Why pull is better? Pull reduces overproduction. Pull reduces storage and thereby cost. Pull improves the flexibility, and pull makes you more responsive to the real time demand. In simple words, don't produce unless someone actually needs it. It's also the sustainable approach of manufacturing. The fifth principle is pursue perfection. Continuous improvement is what the philosophy says. Lean expects Does lean expects perfection immediately? The answer is a big no. It strongly believes today we may not be perfect, but tomorrow can we can be. And what does perfection mean in lean? The perfection in lean is fewer defects, less waiting time, less wastage, faster delivery, and of course, better quality. And all this accompanied by a never stopping continuous improvement mind process. This leads to higher customer value. This leads to higher sales. This leads to a better and a stronger market positioning for a company. And here it would be interesting to see the Kaizen connection in this particular principle. Kaizen also pursues perfection through small but daily improvements. It doesn't believe in one big improvement once a year. That is not the Kaizen methodology, and that is exactly laid below this fifth principle of lean. Lean is a journey, it's not a destination. It's not that you aim for something, once you achieve that, you are done, you're free. It is a continuous process. The five lean principles guide us on how to remove waste and deliver customer value. First, value must be defined by customer. Then we map every step involved in delivering that value. After identifying waste, we create smooth flow so work does not stop or wait. Production should happen only when there is demand. You only make 500 quotes when you know that the market has already demanded it from you, which is pull. Finally, it asks for continuous improvement, small improvements every day, because perfection isn't a one time achievement but an ongoing journey. And that is the overall lean mindset and lean philosophy. Now, let's come to the 8 wastes. See, waste is, I automatically start moving towards environment and sustainability because of what I see in today's world. And yes, waste is not desired, even at your home, even at your workplace, even at your room, even in your bag or wherever. Waste must not be there, first of all, and if it is there, it should be eliminated, right? And when it comes to business, it has got immense importance, because waste is somewhere or the other a material procured on the first place for a end product with which the business intended to make profit. But if that material is lying in waste, definitely it is not generating you profit. It is actually generating you a loss. And that waste can happen in many ways. And that is why in businesses, waste is absolutely undesirable and they should be eliminated. Muda is the Japanese term for waste. Any activity that consumes resources, time, money, material, but adds no value to the final product or services from the customer's point of view is a waste. The lean goal is identify the 5% of activities that are value added and eliminate the 95% that is muda. Yes, 95%. So let's come to the number one waste. The number one waste is overproduction. Producing more product sooner or faster than is actually required by the next step or the customer. Example, manufacturing a massive batch of goods based on an uncertain annual forecast, resulting in products sitting in the warehouse for months before being sold. Let's take an example of a transformer manufacturing company. Transformer, as I might have told you in the past, is a high capital, it's a capital equipment, it's a high cost product. So manufacturing transformer is also a high cost job. Now a manufacturer suddenly gets a forecast that there is going to be a requirement of 500 transformers 6 months down the line, and this forecast has just come from word of mouth, and he looks at an opportunity and he quickly procures material, starts his manufacturing, and after 6 months there is no such forecast realization happening. Imagine the situation. His warehouse is full of 600 transformers for which he has already paid the cost of manufacturing. That is overproduction. Next is inventory. Holding excess raw materials, excess of work in progress or finished goods, these are all part of inventory. Example, holding 10 weeks of safety stock when the lead time is only 2 weeks, tying up capital and increasing obsolescence risk. When you're holding that much amount of inventory, it is basically money tied up, which could have been used for some better work. It is being held over there as a captive in the form of inventory. Let's not forget, in today's world where the innovation and technology is changing things at such a neck break speed, there is always a risk of obsolescence. Who knows, your product becomes obsolete from the market's point of view, and now they become unsellable. So the number two waste is inventory. The third is waiting. Idle time for people. Your workers are just sitting idle in your factory because there is no work while you are paying them wages per hour or your monthly salary is being paid. That is waiting time. Machines which are not being used, it is idle time because it is a capital expense that has been done by you. Material that has already been purchased by money paid lying at your facility, or an information which is with you but it is waiting to be executed. All this is waiting. An example, a truck and a driver sitting idle at the receiving dock for 4 hours waiting for warehouse personnel to verify the bill of lading. My God, all the hard work of manufacturing the material has been done, all the hard work of shifting and lifting and storing the material on the truck has been done 4 hours back. Just imagine if everything would have been sorted in 4 hours at an average speed of 50 or 40 miles per hour, where that bus would have reached or that truck would have reached, but it is still waiting because a document has not been verified. That's a very, very bad example of time wastage, my dear friends. So waiting is the third waste. Now we come to the fourth waste, and that is transportation. Yes, it is a waste. It is an unnecessary movement of goods, materials, or components. Remember, I told you, anything that does not add value to the customer is a waste. How does your you have ordered a phone, you are excited to buy that phone. That phone is traveling continents in a ship coming to you. How does that adds value to you? And that is why transportation becomes unnecessary. Example, shipping a container from the factory to a central distribution center, then to a regional distribution center, and finally to the retailer when direct shipping to the regional distribution center was possible. Now, this is a high waste of transportation cost and a transportation time. And typically this has happened. Why? I'll tell you, because someone has not mapped the entire transportation process of this particular container. The fifth is motion. Unnecessary movement by employees, such as walking, reaching, bending, or searching for tools parts. I'll just explain you more. Say you have to manufacture or you have to fit a item which typically takes 5 minutes, but for that you need a spanner, and you do not have that spanner nearby you. So you get up, ask your neighboring employee, does he know? Then he will tell you to go over there. You will take the ladder, you climb on the stairs, you'll open the top shelf. From there you'll find a toolkit. You'll see lot many spanners and other toolkits over there. You'll finally find that spanner. You'll again repeat that same process of coming down, closing the box, coming to your desk. Just imagine how much of a time has been added because of this unnecessary motion. An example, a warehouse picker spending excessive time walking between widely separated racks to collect components for a single order due to poor warehouse layout. That's unnecessary motion, leading to wastage of employee time, leading to increase of the lead time, and leading to the associated cost of that product. The next is over processing, doing more work on that product than the customer requires or is willing to pay is over processing. I had already told you that the lean mindset always says work smart, do not work hard, and over processing is working extra hard. Example, conducting 3 separate redundant quality inspections on a product when one simple check would suffice that. You have defined 3 different quality checks to arrive whether the product is of good quality or not, whereas you could have actually simplified the quality check process into a one particular process, wherein one shot the quality inspector is checking the goodness or worthiness of the product. This is where a classic example of over processing happens. This is what increases time and has got no value addition for the customer. The customer will never pay you extra for if you say as a salesperson that we have a very stringent quality control process which actually happens for a span of time of 2 to 3 days. It has got no value for the customer. The customer might actually laugh at you if he or she is a very good supply chain manager. The seventh waste is defects. Defects do happen, but they are a big waste. Errors, mistakes, or material flaws that require rework, scrap, inspection, or finally the most dreaded one for me, customer returns. These are a big drawback for your business profits, because they all actually increase your cost in terms of rework, in terms of reshipping, in terms of waste. So this is all a cost, and they do not add value to customer. Actually they add to a very negative customer perception. Example, receiving a raw material batch that fails the quality check, forcing the manufacturing line to stop and the procurement to rush for a replacement order. just imagine the lead time suddenly increasing. This is what we call as surprises, which lean always, if you follow the lean principle, these surprises are eliminated by the continuous improvement philosophy and mindset. Finally, the eighth waste, the underutilized talent or skill. Failing to use the creativity, skills, knowledge, or ideas of employees, probably because of poor communication, probably because of inappropriate delegation of tasks. All these leads to underutilized talent. Very simple example, if we can see, is traditionally what used to happen is a worker was not supposed to identify any wrong while he is the one who is working, but he was not supposed to utter a word, and that is where it is underutilization of talents. Another example is not asking the warehouse floor staff who knows the layout best for ideas on how to improve the picking flow and reduce motion waste. See, waste is everywhere, uh, in shops, in warehouses, in offices, even homes. Think of making 100 sandwiches when only 20 are ordered. That is overproduction. That is waste uh, of your inventory. Lean trains us to see waste clearly and eliminate it step by step. Now we come to the just-in-time system foundations. Just-in-time, also referred to as JIT, is producing the right quantity at the right time. It is a pull-based system. It is designed to get triggered trigger the production as per the demand. It is designed to actually minimize your inventory cost. It, when applied in a very nice and perfect manner, it improves the responsiveness of the company. JIT helps maintain products quality. JIT is like ordering food only when you are hungry instead of filling your fridge with 100 meals. It removes the excess stocks and makes the system more responsive to real demand by making the entire system very lean. If you would go through all the points that I have said, essentially it reduces the cost, and essentially it reduces the time, and essentially by doing all this, it increases the customer value, and that is what is just-in-time system. The requirement for just-in-time is pretty stringent, and yes, to deliver so much, your requirements also become tough. The first is it requires reliable suppliers. So the concept is the the quality of the product should be ensured at the source itself. It requires very short setup times. It also requires standardization of process. It requires a proper 5S, which probably we will discuss in detail in some other chapter. But for your information, 5S is basically sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. It also requires total productive maintenance, that is called as TPM, where why maintenance is important, because in the last example we saw that if a machinery is not working because of proper maintenance, that causes to waste, and that is where requirement of JIT is a proper maintenance, proper TPM. It requires experienced and skilled employees. With the skilled employees, it makes JIT work. The entire system has to work like a finely tuned orchestra, where one machine breaks down or a supplier fails, the whole line suffers. It again reminds me of the example of it is like a chain. A single chain breaks and the whole efficacy of or the whole utilization of a chain ends right over there. There are some of the tools of JIT which we will not go very deep into because they are of the next level of supply chain education. Some of them I will just touch upon. Number one is Kanban, a board system that is called as Kanban. Then there is Hejunka, which is level scheduling. There is Stack Time. There is SMED, a setup reduction method. There is Pokayoke, which is error proofing method. And then there is 5S, that is which I said, 5S, the workplace organization. So Kanban is one of the simplest yet most effective pull tools. Yes, it ensures production only happens when a signal is received. So there has to be some kind of a triggering which will actually signal that now is the time to start the production. Hejunka levels production, so there are no sudden spikes or slowdowns. So it's a leveling mechanism. It will always continuously monitor and balance between production and the demand. So it avoids spikes of demands, and it also avoids any kind of slowdown. Takt time ensures the production rhythm matches the customer demand. Implementing JIT, the steps are: first, one needs to understand the current flow of methodology. What is the current flow? How the mapping will clearly show what is the current flow of work. And that is where, by monitoring the current flow, the first step happens is to identify the bottlenecks. Bottlenecks mean which are those processes which are actually slowing down, which are causing high lead time, which are probably causing waste. And then comes the next part, is to implement the 5S. After that, introduce pull via the Kanban reduced batch sizes. The employees need to be trained so that they are continuously monitoring the key performing indexes. See, implementing JIT is again a journey. Start small, maybe with one work cell, then scale across operations. That is what is called as implementation of JIT. Now we come to the final topic and one of the most important topic, and that is, what is value stream mapping? I touched upon the moment we had started this. Its short term is VSM. See, VSM is consider this as the diagnostic tool for lean. You cannot fix waste. You cannot fix a process until you see it. VSM is a lean management technique used to visually map the entire flow of product or service from the raw material stage to the customer. It is where you actually visualize the entire process flow. Say, car manufacturing companies, VSM will show you in a picture and a map clearly, right from the incoming materials to the materials moving to different assembly centers, what are the machineries kept, what time they take, what is the work, how many manpower is required, finally the car being manufactured, and then the car moving out. I just told you in a very, very simplified manner. Of course, a car manufacturing is a very, very vast thing, but I just wanted to give you the idea of what is a VSM. VSM will apply on anything, not only manufacturing, any kind of a service, hospital, hotel industry, all industries, right? It maps two flows simultaneously. Now, this becomes very important. It basically maps two flows simultaneously. First is the material flow, the flow where the product is moving, and the second is the information flow, how the flow is controlled, what is the time, what is the lead time, all the relevant information that is flowing parallelly to the material flow. These are all visually mapped in the VSM process. The value stream includes all steps needed to deliver a product or service, from raw material to finished products to customer. This includes product movement, information flow, waiting time, inspections, and storage. The purpose why we map visualization: to see the entire system, not just isolated processes, entire system functioning together. how they are interlinked and what interlink is causing delay to the other process. It's a kind of a diagnosis, as I said, to clearly distinguish between value added steps and non value added steps or wastes. The main action is to create a future state, map a lean blueprint for the desired process. Now, one important thing is, where does VSM fits in lean? See, VSM is the second principle of lean. As we have been continuously saying, if we do not see it, we cannot improve it, we cannot eliminate the waste. So that is where it comes. You must map the stream before you can create the flow. And when we talk about flow, always imagine about a smooth moving traffic. The key components of VSM are, first are the key symbols. A value stream mapping uses standard symbols so that anyone can read the map. Problems are visible, flow is easy to understand. Think of VSM symbols like traffic signs. You might have seen school is ahead, speed not more than 60 kilometers per hour, take a right turn. Those are traffic signs. Similar signs are there. So just a couple of examples I'll give you in your SLM material. You will find many examples to go through. So the process symbol is basically a rectangle box. Whenever you see a rectangle box in a VSM map, you understand this is a process. Triangle means a inventory symbol. That means here there is an inventory. Transportation or material flow is indicated by a arrow. The core metrics, VSM's power lies in calculating the time. See, process time divided by value added time. It is the time a product is actively being worked on or transformed, the time the customer values. Because this is, had the product not been created, then the customer would not have received the desired product, right? So when the creation time or the transformation time is happening, that is the time that customer values. The next is lead time by non-value added time. It is the total time from start of a process. Example, the customer order has been placed until the product is delivered. The lead time includes your process time and also the waiting time and of course the transportation time, which is a non-value addition for customer. Finally, the VSM goal is to reduce the lead time by attacking the non-value added waiting and transportation periods. Now, finally, in the nutshell, if we summarize this session, we have learned about lean principles, comparing the traditional versus the modern approach. We have understood the 8 wastes along with the 5 lean principles and looked into JIT and the VSM principles. I hope this session would be fruitful for you. Let's meet in the next session. Till then, happy learning.